fupping and blinding there because YouTube was making my life difficult. So now I've got the phone in my hand. Here, look, say hello to all these other guys. See, look, there's guys there, there's guys there, there's guys there, there's guys there, there's loads of guys. Any questions, drop them in the comments. Let's have a little bit of a Q&A and a chat this evening while I just sort out this YouTube. We'll mount her in this. Bear with me 1 second there. Now, if you're on YouTube, you're getting awful treatment. It's shocking. It's terrible. It's very unprofessional, but sure. You know we're loose here, lads. You know we're loose. Right. Oh, feck. I can go there. got the cup techniques. What's price Bitcoin? Does anybody know? Probably should have checked that before I come on. Let's have a look. I'd say it's probably rallying from that news today. Did you hear the news today? Don't worry, didn't tell you. He needs to have the bull run started. Jerry Collins, BMW. Jesus, Jerry, we'd get on. The bull run has started. Yes, Bitcoin was 15 grand and now it's 44,000. So I would call that's bull run territory. These are your kettlebell sasses and swords. Some energy. Still have loads of energy. Energy is not something I'm short of. Good, man. I'm still swinging kettlebells myself. Training there down the gym earlier. Bitcoin's 41,000 euros. What the hell is that in dollars? Euros mean no sense to me. Dollars. Oh, we're 44.5. So we're on the move, guys. I'll tell you why we're on the move. And I'll answer any questions. So if there are questions, bang them in there in the comments. And how's she cutting? She's cutting well, Darren. 44k. There you are, sir. Stephen, what's the crack? Good seeing you Friday evening. Yeah, if anyone does have questions, stick them in the comments there. I'll try and I'll answer them as we go. But Bitcoin's pumping again. Like, this is going to melt the heads of people who are traders. And you'll see it in the comments of my videos. People are saying, it's going to go to 38,125. Then it'll pull back. Then it'll do this. And they're all just like getting blown out of the water now. This is why I don't trade. And you don't need to. Because sometimes you're right with trading and you think you're a genius. But then most times you're wrong. You know, most traders lose money, so we don't need to. This is the beauty of it. If you're like me and you'd rather like be having fun and doing nothing while your investments work, well, you should use Dinny's strategy rather than the loser's strategy, which is trading and all this sort of nonsense. And this bull market, I'm not going to entertain the bullshitters as much as I did in the last market cycle. And they're all back, but they're coming out of the woodwork. We're not at the bull market stage where my friends and family, whom I've been posting videos to, I even wrote a letter and sent it to all my family, extended family, cousins, everybody, you know, as simple as I could to map out everything, tumbleweed, okay? But they will come back to me when Bitcoin's hitting all-time highs, or, you know, we'll really know we're starting to get into the FOMO when, you know, all the people I've been sending this information to 2 years ago start ringing me up and going, oh, didn't you have to teach you about Bitcoin, I have to get into Bitcoin. Which will, of course, be the exact wrong time for them to pile in, and then it'll be my fault when it goes wrong. But this is this is why it's very difficult when you're trying to orange pill friends and family. So what I do is I send them content in the bear market, and I leave them at it in the bull market because I know better now. DCA all the way. I'd say that's been working well for you, James, over the last couple of years. Got 2 Bitcoin and a load of alts that are going into Bitcoin. Let's go, Michelle. Good stuff. Oh yeah, so I want to tell you the news of why Bitcoin's rallying there now. Hold on, I have it here in the tweet. So the SEC is now posting investor alerts about crypto, which is what it did before approving the first Bitcoin futures ETF. So they're basically signaling, lads, it's coming, getting the market ready for it. You know, an instant investor event, exercise caution with crypto assets and securities. You know, yeah, exercise caution with buying a pension or saving money in a bank is what they should be telling you, because anyone who does that works till they die, or works till they're pretty old and they don't get rich. Rich people don't do that shit. Rich people own securities and commodities, businesses. Rich people take risk, and that's what we should be teaching people. So that's what's going down. So if the ETF, hold on, I better explain what the ETF is, because probably not everyone here understands what an ETF is, or why this adds another zero to the price of Bitcoin. An ETF is called an exchange traded fund. Okay, so it's basically a financial product that allows large companies, large institutions, sovereigns, you know, huge entities to own Bitcoin, because huge entities need all the checks and balances and all the controls in place before they can touch an asset. It's not a case of, and it's not a case of, you just saying, oh, well, Johnny there, he'll hold the Bitcoin for Apple computers and he'll take it home with him. And he has a safe at home, so he can lock it up in a safe. Yeah, that's grand. That can't happen with these big companies. Okay, it has to go through a regulated financial vehicle. And up until now, there is none. So this is the first time in history, okay, or that I ever had exposed to in all my investing, that small people, retail, nobodies, were able to get hold of an asset before Wall Street could. It's always the other way around. Wall Street dumps on retail, okay? But this has been the opposite. And retail still have the opportunity to front run the institutions. Now, the opportunity isn't going to last forever. I've been banging the drum about this for years and years and years, but it finally looks like it's happening in January. But still, today you have an opportunity to front run Wall Street, okay? Which is pretty awesome, okay? So once the ETF happens, it takes Bitcoin to the next level and it allows it to go through its next phase of its adoption, meaning it adds another zero and it continues to eat into the rest of the world's capital. Because you'll notice, most Bitcoin halvings, we just add a zero to the thing. It's pretty simple. You hold it for 4 years, it adds a zero. You hold it for another 4 years, it adds a zero, okay? Where people go wrong is, and I'm going to try and share some wisdom here, because we have a good stream of people, and will you do me a favour, while we have a good stream of people, hit the like button. It's your daily exercise. Like, look at those guns. That's because I've been liking videos all day today. I've just been watching and liking. So hit the like button, okay? And by the way, these guns aren't looking too good. A girl who used to work for me, actually, I met her in the gym there earlier. She says, Jay, you're getting very skinny. I'm like, I've been away surfing for the last 2 months. I haven't seen a weight. So that was my motivation to go, Jesus, Dinny, we may hit the gym a bit harder. So thanks for the likes, thanks for the love. Any questions, drop them in there. I'll try and keep track of the comments. Jehovah's Witness, sell me Bitcoin alarm, but it's the same story. Those who dismissed it become interested at the top when they listen to the. I'm not going to get the comments up on Facebook here before I continue my waffle on the computer, because that'd be easier than trying to read it off the phone, wouldn't it, lads? Let me just see. Can I get this? Can I find Bitcoin with Dinny being live? Oh, there I am. There we are. Oh, yeah. They just missed it. They become interested at the top and they listen to the likes of Jamie Dimon. Like, I've done a video on that. Imagine listening to what a banker has to say about Bitcoin. It's like, you've got to be a special type of stupid. It'd be like listening to a financial advisor talking about Bitcoin as well, which unfortunately people think, oh, financial advisor, like that word means that they're going to give me financial advice. Now, I found this out about 10 years ago when I was earlier in my investing journey, and I was looking for what's called a fiduciary in Ireland. A fiduciary is someone who has an obligation, a legal obligation, to only give you investment advice that's in only your interest and not theirs. And guess what I found? There's no such thing as a fiduciary in Ireland. We don't have them. You can get them in the States. You pay extra for them, but I was like, no, I don't want to use a financial advisor because they just sell me products. I want a fiduciary. And then I was like, oh, gee, there is none in Ireland. No wonder we're screwed, lads. Okay? So a financial advisor, pension advisor, is selling you their dream, not yours. And that's the irony. And we all do it when we're brainwashed, when we're younger. Like, work your job, save your money, get a pension, put it in the bank. Bullshit. I don't know any of my super wealthy friends that done that shit. Okay? So that's a stupid idea. And it's risky. And some of you new people here think Bitcoin's risky. And that's just because you're brainwashed. You don't understand Bitcoin. If you understood Bitcoin, you realize that it's much less risky. Okay? Because you're just trusting math and code. And math and code is quite predictable. It stays the same. Whereas trusting what a banker is going to do with my money, or a financial advisor is going to do with my money, and trusting how much money the central bank are going to print or not print, that's very unpredictable. I don't know what's around the corner. You've seen what they've done in 2020. Mad stuff. Okay? So I don't like trusting humans because time and time again they breach my trust. Physics, I can trust. Physics is predictable. And that's why we try and orange pill you and think to you about Bitcoin. because especially if you're new, everything you know here is false, or everything you likely know about Bitcoin is incorrect because you were taught from bankers, and it's in their interest to confuse you and tell you not to touch Bitcoin because it literally is going to destroy them. It's going to eat into all their profits. Every single euro that leaves our traditional system and goes into Bitcoin takes power away from them, takes profit away from them, takes control over you away from them. Okay? So if you value your sovereignty, you should study Bitcoin. Or if you just want to get filthy rich and retire early, create generational wealth, screw the philosophical stuff. Study Bitcoin, okay? Get rich, and then you'll have time to sit there and, have to crack. What's the comment here? What's the best way to live off Bitcoin without having to sell your Bitcoin? Do you take profits at the top or just 100% hodl all the way down? Okay, they're good questions. We'll answer Darren's one there, and then we'll talk about what's the best way to live off it and where's the best place to buy Bitcoin. So, do you take profits? And if you're new here, this isn't going to make sense to you. Okay, and I've got not loads, but people are coming out of the woodwork. I have to write down because I'm that much of a lunatic. I'll be going off, live off. Just in case the questions disappear. BTC, like how do you live off it? And where's the best place to buy? So at the moment, people are coming out of the woodwork, the altcoin experts, I call them. And if they were altcoin experts, they wouldn't be messaging me investing because they'd already be rich. I'd be like, come for coffee with me on a Tuesday. No, I have to be in work. Okay, right. They're probably not an altcoin expert because they fucking have a job. They have to be somewhere. Someone owns them. Okay, but they're coming out of the woodwork now with all the plans and strategies. And what about this one? And I heard it all in 2020. And it's the same cohort of people. And now there's a new cohort of altcoin experts, and they're in, and they're going to make loads of Bitcoin. And I hope they do. I don't wish that they fail. But I know that the vast majority, 99 out of 100, won't. Okay, unfortunately. Because I'm in the game long enough to have witnessed and helped them work to it and seen so many horror stories that the majority of people coming into the space and they're only in it a wet day or a year or 2 or 3, the VCs are taking your money, okay? The VCs are much smarter than you and they're taking your money. You just don't know it yet. So when it comes to that, like beginner investors, you might struggle with this. Some of you guys are more sophisticated here and you're around a bit longer. You've done more work, so this will make sense. So I'll answer the question. Do I take profits? No, okay? Absolutely not, because I'm an investor, okay? So that means I've separated my living expenses. I don't need to live off my investments. My investments are separate. I have businesses, I have incomes, I separate my wealth into different buckets, and therefore my investments, some of them are 10-year plans, 20-year plans, and some of them are forever plans. So I don't need that money today, but that's not why I don't take profits. The reason I don't take profits is what most people are doing is, especially beginners, people who are newer to investing, and we're all newer. I was new as well, and I taught like this, and I'm just trying to pass on a little bit of wisdom to help you do better. We value our Bitcoin investment in how much euros it's worth, but that's flawed logic. That doesn't make any sense at all, because if I was to do that, well, at the start of the year, if I owned one Bitcoin, it was worth 15 grand. Today it's worth $44,000. So that the euro value in the short term is all over the fucking place, okay? When you really get this, you start pricing everything in Bitcoin, and you start seeing that everything priced in Bitcoin, your cost of living gets cheaper over time. Whereas all the other people, all the plebs who, that Bitcoin's a scam. It's like, well, your cost of living is getting more expensive every year. Your euro buys you less stuff. But for me to live, priced in Bitcoin, things are only getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. Okay, so therefore, when I'm trying to assess my portfolio, my goal is to have more Bitcoin each month. The current price of it doesn't matter, because if it's part of the 10-year strategy, well, it's like in 10 years it will matter. But today it doesn't matter. And in fact, it's reverse. It's as the price crashes, I'm happier because I get more Bitcoin for my euro. And this is really sophisticated investing, because most people, you can see it now, guys. If I was doing a live here in the bear market, we might have had 30 people on. Now we've got, on all the different channels, we've about 250 or so on. Okay? This is the difference. When the price is going up and you should have bought months ago, you're all here. So you can see already that you're making the rookie mistake. However, being here now, is still better than being here in 2 years' time, or 3 years' time, or 4 years' time. Okay, so this is the beauty of the bull market. It sucks in new participants because we all want to make money. It's like, oh geez, you can make money on that thing. I need to pay attention to it. And that's fantastic. Okay, but unless you actually understand how to invest, the principles, fundamentals, and build your own thesis, you won't make money. It'll take a year or two of losing money and giving it to people who already have all those things in place. So the reason I don't take profits is because it doesn't make sense. Okay, if I have a Bitcoin and I'm like, I'm going to sell the top, and it's very easy to look at a chart and go, well, in 2021 in December, I should have sold my Bitcoin, and then I should have bought back in at the very start of 2023, January, and I would have sold here and bought back in here. And that's great, okay? But that's like saying, Dinny, I won the lotto, or Dinny, I'm going to do the lotto, but I want to see the numbers before I buy the ticket. So I can pick, and I'd be like, why? Oh, so I can pick the right number, so I win. And I'm like, oh, okay, but like, you know, that's not how reality works. You've got to pick the numbers before the draw. Okay, so people don't get that. It's very easy to look back in real time, like the same as today, the way you have all these people going, it's going here, it's going there. They don't know. Some of them will say one thing and it might be right, and they'll be like, I said that, I'm right. Okay, but half the time they're wrong, so we'll just forget about that. Someone else will be right. All right, so in the short term, nobody knows, because you don't know what tweet's going to come out tomorrow. You don't know what Jerome Powell is going to say. How can you predict what a man is going to say? So trying to predict short term is just stupid. But if you had a Bitcoin and you want to trade it, you want to sell and get back in, if you're going to do it the legal way, you have a capital gains obligation. So you sell your Bitcoin, you owe 30% of your profit. When I'm in Ireland, you owe 33% of your profit in capital gains tax. So you now have a big tax bill. So you need Bitcoin to correct 30% just so you can get back in on par. You basically said, I'll take all the risk, I'll give the government all my profit, and for me just to get back in at par, Bitcoin has to correct 30%. Now, the shit-hot traders, okay, who are managing the big money, not people with phones in their hand, who are giving it to them. They just don't know it. Okay, the shit-hot traders are scalping, 0.5%, 1%, 2%. But new participants to the Bitcoin space think, I'm a genius. I can get my 30% pullback. I'll probably get 40% and I'll buy back in. I'll get more Bitcoin. And all these people do is they end up with less Bitcoin and a big tax bill. They're idiots. Okay, and I'll give you two stories just to help you understand that. One of them is someone I know is not a professional, and one of them is a professional. So, because I'll show you this doesn't work, and so still some of you won't understand this. You will trade it, and you'll just end up with less assets, and you'll wish you didn't in 10 years' time or 20 years' time if you have an actual generational investment strategy. Some of you aren't. You're just here to make a grand. Happy days. Have at it. There's no wrong answer. Some people want to make 5 grand, 10 grand, whatever. Great, brilliant, whatever. But you have an opportunity here to own the scarcest piece of property on the planet that every single human wants, needs. Every corporation, every company wants, needs, and must have. And they will pay a lot for it in the near future. So it's kind of in your interest to hold the thing. Okay? But there was a guy I know, and he spent 10 grand on Bitcoin good few years ago. That Bitcoin was worth 3 million. It's probably worth 5 million today, because this was when the price was more crashed. So my friend's really well off. He's doing great. He has a big house. No. He lives with his parents. Can't afford to get on the property ladder. If you're scratching your head going, like, I thought he owned all these Bitcoins. Where are they all? Well, my friend was very smart. So rather than just thinking like a wealthy investor, sophisticated investor, read any of the multimillionaires' books or the billionaires' books. I've read all their books because it was poor and I wanted to get rich. And the common theme that they all have is they bought things and they held them. They didn't trade them, they just held them forever. Whenever you get good pieces of property, or they built things, they built companies and they held them. They built scarcity or they bought scarcity, and they just held them for really long periods of time. And that's how they got wealthy, and that's how their kids are wealthy, and that's how their family is wealthy. Okay, but my friend, he didn't read those books like me. So he thought his 10 grand went to 12 grand. I'll take a bit of profit. And then it went down. And then it was like, oh, well, there's this new one of my other friends told me about, UEY, or, pick any 3 letters. Some nonsense thing. So then he got a bit of that, and then he got a bit of this, and then he got, and as soon as the bull market's over, he's turned the 10 grand into about 1,500 quid. Had he just hodled the Bitcoin, he's a multimillionaire. So that's a novice. What about a professional investor? Professional investor I'll tell you about is a guy called Rule Pal. And in fairness to this guy, he's taught me a lot over the years. Well, he invested into Bitcoin in 2013. Okay, now, this is a very wealthy man. He managed money for Goldman Sachs. He's a macro guy, and he would have put a few quid in. But in his own words, it wasn't a big bet. It wasn't a huge bet in terms of his net worth. It's just like, yeah, I'll have a go. He held the Bitcoin until 2017, and he sold it when Bitcoin hit 2,000. And he got a 5x on his money, and he was like, holy shit. Like in traditional macro trades, this is unreal, okay? He continued to be interested in Bitcoin. He started to learn a little bit more. He realized the error in his way, that he shouldn't have took profits that didn't make sense. So in 2020, he went in heavy, in his words. So you can imagine a multi-millionaire who's got a mansion in the Cayman Islands, what going in heavy means to him. I think it was pretty much it was like every penny I had, were his words, okay? But here's the point. Even though Rule's been piling in, and this man owns loads of successful companies that turn over 7 figures, multiples of 7 figures, per year, even though he's thrown as much capital as he can into it, he doesn't own as much Bitcoin as he did in 2013 when he made the small bet. You can't catch up. And he realizes, he's like, I fucked it up. I wasn't pricing it in Bitcoin. I was pricing it, I'm going to make a few euros. Had he have held a Bitcoin, his portfolio he has today, when you hear him saying this, would be 25x better off. That's some difference. Get your net worth and 25x it and see how that looks. Like, unbelievable. So that's why I don't take profits. And a lot of you people are going to have to learn that lesson the hard way. And some of you are more sophisticated that there's sayings in Bitcoin, hodl. And I was speaking about this today in my life, but we think it's just like this kiddie meme that means nothing. There's absolutely, like, the wisdom that's in Bitcoin is unbelievable. A Bitcoiner can tell you more about how money works than anyone in your bank. But there's absolute wisdom in the term hodl, in the term diamond hands. All of these phrases that we just roll off the tongue and people just think, they're just fun memes. It might take a few years before you actually realize that there's deep wisdom behind all this stuff. So that's a long answer to tell you why I don't take profits. It doesn't matter to me what Bitcoin does in this cycle. It can go wherever. I don't mind. Okay? Because my strategy is to accumulate Bitcoin. I'm enjoying work. I own multiple businesses. I have cash flow. Why would I sell an asset? And even if you walk through this with me, okay, you sell your Bitcoin, what do you do with the money? If you don't need it, if you're managing your finances properly, you're living below your means and you're building an investment portfolio, it doesn't matter how rich or poor you are, everyone lives by them rules. That's what we teach the Retire Early Club. You live by those rules, you create more wealth. Okay, so you sell, you take your profit. What do you do with the profit? If you don't need it, you put it in a bank. Did you listen to anything I said? What you do with the profit is you go, okay, you put it in the bank, then you go, right, shit, I have to put money in the bank now. I know this money halves in value every 10 years. What am I going to do with it? I need to invest it. I need to put it into an investment. Okay, what investment will I put it into? Well, what's the best performing asset on the planet? Oh, it's Bitcoin, obviously. Oh, buy Bitcoin. It's like, so you just, instead of having a full Bitcoin, nearly 0.75 of Bitcoin because you have to pay 33% of it to the tax man. Doesn't make sense, people. There's 3 phases to a Bitcoin strategy. Okay, accumulate. Most people are in the accumulation stage, in that you're still trying. Like, I'm still in the accumulation stage, where every month when I have money, my company is an everyday dollar cost average. We try and buy a bit of Bitcoin. We're not buying Bitcoins because we don't have that sort of cash flow. But every month I'm going to buy little fractions of Bitcoin to add to my little hodl stack and try and just keep building it up. I wasn't fortunate enough to have figured Bitcoin out or paid attention to it years and years and years ago. So, to me, Bitcoin has always been expensive, and I just continue to try and accumulate whatever I can. And I understand that I don't want to sell it because it just doesn't make rational sense. So you have the accumulation, You have the hodl stage. This is successful Bitcoin investing. Okay, that means you hold. So let's say you're buying Bitcoin in this cycle and it's 40 grand, and let's say it 10x's in a couple of years and it's 500 grand. Well, in terms of percentage terms, you might be able to increase your stack of Bitcoin with your DCA strategy anymore to a meaningful amount. It might make more sense for you just actually save those euros and increase your standard of living off your cash flow and leave your asset alone. So you don't have to touch your asset, make them grow. Hodl, okay? And then you get to the spend stage. And here's a little tip on the spend stage. And I wouldn't even do this. And the other thing I'll say is, people say, how do I spend my Bitcoin? And I'd say, like, just sell it for euros. But there's other things you can do as well. They'll say, like, what are they? And I'm like, I don't know. Why don't I know? Because they haven't been built yet. This is like the internet was in 95. That's where we are. It's like in the internet in 95, you're having a chat with someone. It's like, it's going to replace libraries. And maybe instead of buying a newspaper, you'll be able to just read it online. And I'm like, wow, that's all the internet does. Great, that's amazing. But in 95, no one could predict how internet was going to weave its way into every single business and all of what humanity does. Well, Bitcoin is just another layer on the internet. It's a native currency that sits on top of the internet. So right now, as we're having this chat and you're having a crack at me, there's entrepreneurs building, they have ideas, they're smarter than me. They're like, holy crap, I could build this into Bitcoin and this is how people could make money by doing whatever sort of means to leverage the asset somehow. So all that's going to be there. But let's just say the real dumb strategy, which is just selling the asset, which doesn't make sense to sell something so scarce and desirable. But even that strategy, it's fine because everyone's here to make money and you want to make money, whatever. So let's say you hold your Bitcoin and your portfolio is worth 500 grand. You stack aggressively, you do it for 15 years, 10 years, whatever. You've got 500,000 euros worth of a portfolio. Well, all you do is you go onto Google and you type in, how much is Bitcoin appreciating per year? Okay, let's say it's 15 years time. Bitcoin's around 30 years. Google will give you an exact figure. It'll say, Bitcoin on average for the last 30 years has been appreciating at 21.24%. And you're like, sound. Okay? You can probably safely sell 10% of your Bitcoin and never run out of money. Because if it's appreciating at 20%, you pull out 10% of your portfolio, you live on that for a year and spend it. Well, by the time you go back to the pot again, or I call it the golden goose strategy, when you go back, the goose has laid another golden egg because you're leaving that leeway in. Okay? Or you can just be like, I'm not going to spend that much money. You know, depending on how long you think you have to live, what age you are when you do retire, that's how you factor in your retirement. You find out how much you need to live a week. Okay? You multiply it by a year. You multiply it by how many years you think you're going to live for. And if you have enough money to do that, that's when you know, I'm retired. Happy days, brilliant. And the way I done it was, I done 3 versions. I done like the minimum, where I can just be a bum but not have to work. You know, I won't have loads of money, but I can not have to work and have all my time. And then I have medium, and then I have like high roller. Like if I want to go anywhere I want, or you know, so you can see, okay, I've got the basic retirement where I can live a simple life and never have to work again. And then the goal is to, well, it doesn't have to be. Some people can be happy there. So that's the spend. So what were they again? Accumulate, hodl, spend. Right, spent about half an hour there answering one question. How do you live off Bitcoin? You don't. This one will be short and simple. You don't. Okay? Not yet. It's an investment. You can't just buy something and live off it immediately. In the future, you'll be able to, because you'll be able to get cash flow off it. You know, with like in the Lightning, the products that they're building there, that could be like the risk-free rate of return on Bitcoin. And that's really exciting. But that's only been built now. So let's just see how that develops. So, you know, in 2021, you could have Bitcoin staked with third-party companies like Voyager and Celsius and BlockFi, FTX, and you could live off that. But then we learned a hard lesson because all those companies went out of business, so you lost 100% of your collateral. So it's too early to risk the Bitcoin. It doesn't make sense. If you're owning an asset that's appreciating 50 to 100% a year, like, just hold the thing. Nothing else on the planet is appreciating like that. You just fucking hold it, lads. And because we're all brainwashed from the fiat of, oh, I need cash flow off it and all this other stuff. And it's just bullshit. No, you don't. The capital appreciation is worth far more. It's far more. If you own one Bitcoin, it's capital appreciation at 100% a year. That's far more important than getting paid 6% a year, but risking 100% of the collateral. It just doesn't make sense today. Let the space mature, let the space develop, let companies come and fail and we work it out, let there be more regulation. When I can walk into a trusted financial institution that has an 80-year-old reputation and I can loan them some Bitcoin, I'll do it. Definitely not with all my stack, but putting some under leverage, happy days, why not? That's what it's for, you don't have to risk it all. But today that doesn't make sense. That could be a strategy in 10 years or 15 years, so you never have to sell a Bitcoin to live off it. But right now, you should be thinking, how do I work harder to earn more euros to try and acquire more asset while the asset is so cheap? Okay? And then you can retire early. But you can't live with Bitcoin at the moment. Unless you already have loads of it. Well, then it's straightforward. You just sell some. Now, what was the other question? Oh, place to buy. Can't even read me on writing. For me, I buy off a broker. I just think it's the easiest. Particularly in Ireland, the banks are pretty hostile towards anyone buying crypto, and some people even had their bank accounts closed. So I just use a broker. I've always used a broker. All my clients have used a broker. If anyone wants a recommendation, send me a private message. I'll send you on a referral link. All our customers get 50% off. And the beauty of using a broker is it's no more expensive than using an exchange, except you get an expert on one end. Whereas when you get an exchange, if you're a novice, well, you're on both ends. You just have an app in your hand. So if you're trying to withdraw $5,000 onto a wallet, like, you're both sides of that trade. You're withdrawing and you're receiving. You use a broker, you've got an expert on one side, so it can't go wrong because they're half liable. And that's why I'll encourage all my consulting clients, listen, if you're going to put $5,000 in, you're using a broker. Why? Because you get a free person. The thing about a broker is you can't buy €100 a week with a broker. It's not in it. They're giving you a human. You have to be buying more. If you're buying $2,000, you get a free human. So it makes more sense. Like, if you are going to, if your dollar cost average smaller amounts, you've got your Coinbase, the only publicly traded crypto company around, and there's loads of others, and I've no affinity to any of them, and I've used them all, and it's just like, if I was going to send anyone anywhere, I'm like, well, Coinbase is probably the most tightly regulated company in the space. What have I missed, mate? I'll have to see, can I find a few comments here? Bear with me a second there now. Are you having the crack? It's Good Friday evening. That's a good long answer. Yeah, Darren, you got your money's worth there. What's your recommended wallet to use? Like, when it comes to wallets, I'll just tell people, just use a ledger, because they're the biggest wallet manufacturer on the planet. The majority of the world's wallets are ledgers. And, if you're a diehard tech phobe and a Bitcoin maximalist, you'd be like, oh, ledgers have a backdoor, because you can opt into a backdoor in a ledger. And the purpose of that is, when you screw up and you lose your password, which is more likely to happen than anything else, Ledger will be able to help you recover your money so you don't lose it. So I think that's a really good thing, and 99% of people, it's going to save their ass. But some people are super privacy centric and they don't want that. And they're like, no, I don't like that. The fact they can do that, don't trust them. Okay. But for me personally, I use multi-sig setups and collaborative custody setups. And that just means there's no single point of failure. Because if you've one wallet, it's a single point of failure. Okay. Whereas using multi-sig and collaborative, it's more secure, okay, and you don't have a single point of failure. It's more secure in that no one can even steal your Bitcoin, because I can't even move my Bitcoin. It takes weeks, to give the permissions. It's all time locked and whatever. And that's because I'm public with my Bitcoin ownership, and people probably think I own loads of Bitcoins. I certainly don't own as much as I would like to, or as much as probably people think, but the fact I do, I have to keep it very secure and have it time locked and multi-sigged and on different continents and all this sort of stuff. So you can really get sophisticated with how you store your Bitcoin. And like, I don't value my Bitcoin and how much it's worth today. As I said to you, I value it in 10, 15 years. I think this is going to be a really nice retirement portfolio. And so I value it today. I want to make sure I have it in 15 years by keeping it super safe. But one wallet is one single point of failure, and I have seen people lose everything. Okay, wallets break, they get hacked, they get lose the password, they write down the recovery seed wrong, they don't even know what happened. One day they just open the wallet and think everything's gone. So it is scary, and that's why I like multi-sig, because literally none of that stuff can happen. So if you really value your Bitcoin, get on to me and I can help you organise a multi-sig, but not this side of Christmas. There's no rush on it, lads, okay? Give it a few days. This side of Christmas, I'm booked out. So yeah, following you for 2 years now. I'm heading in the right direction. Scotty has followed me 2 years and he's heading in the right direction. We should arrange a massive party in 10 years' time. You can get the beers in. You can get the flipping beers in. I've been teaching how to get rich for the last 4 years. For free. What else did I get there? A man who never made a mistake, never made anything. That's a good one, yeah. Lots of the same mistakes. Oh yeah, bought 5 Bitcoin for 35 each and sold 6 months later for 650 each. Thought it was a genius, 2012-ish. It's been a real struggle to try and get back. Getting there, though, and I'll never sell again. So there's one of the lads there commenting to tell you, you know, exactly what we spoke about earlier. And, you know, everyone done that. And I think now just the education and the understanding about Bitcoin is much better. That we know this is a generational piece of property. It makes more sense to hold this thing forever, because it's because the institution is going to want to buy it off you, and they're going to pay a lot more than 44 grand for it. And it's the scarcity of Bitcoin that really makes it so valuable. In that there's only 21 million, there's 19.5 million mined at the moment. By 2035, pretty much the majority of all Bitcoins ever to be created are out there. Okay, you have an opportunity today to take a percentage of that. You can never buy a percentage of the internet, but you can buy a percentage of all the money that will ever be in the world. You know, and that's a bold statement, me thinking that Bitcoin's going to become global money. Well, it is. It's just a question of time. You know, so watch out. Probably not in my lifetime, but it doesn't have to be. If it becomes 1% of global money in my lifetime, it's the best investment I could have ever made. It gives me anything I want. You know, if it's 2%, it's kind of good as well. If it gets to 3%, that'll do. Okay, so it doesn't have to get to 100%. And for the last 15 years, we've just seen that it's eating into world money. It's stealing money from currencies. It's stealing money from the bond market. It's stealing money from gold's market cap. It's stealing money from the property market. So it's working, it's happening, but it's just a trickle. It's a tiny trickle. But Parker Lewis has a book coming out, and I think it's called Slowly and Then Suddenly, and that's how I see this playing out. We're in the slowly stage. Spot ETF is going to help us get to the suddenly stage, when people have absolute FOMO because they see Bitcoin going up 10 grand an hour, just God candles. And I don't mean people like you and me, because we'd be like, oh, it's too dear, I'll just buy shit coins instead. Bitcoin's too dear, I missed it. I mean Wall Street, I mean companies that have, you know, $1 billion to invest, $500,000 to invest. And you see them guys getting FOMO. It's going to be glorious. It's going to be funny. Now, what else is here? There's a good few comments there. Sorry, I probably missed a few. How did Michael Saylor, Andrew? No, it's not a silly question. Well, you see, Saylor owns the majority share of his company. So he's a maverick, he's a rogue, you know, and his company in relative terms is a pretty small company. So it's a bit easier for him. And what he done is he bought out the shareholders. He literally went to his shareholders and says, lads, this is in 2020. It was the first public company to put Bitcoin on his balance sheet. So he went to his shareholders and said, by the way, I've analysed what's happening with COVID. Money printer is going burr. We've seen this in 2008. Inflation's going to hit. We need to buy something scarce. I've done the work on Bitcoin. It's the scarcest thing around. We're changing 500 million of our American dollars into 500 million worth of Bitcoin. If any of you shareholders aren't happy with that, we're going to buy the stock off you for an even higher price than they paid for it. So and some of the investors were like, that makes sense. We're along for the ride. And that was the best decision they could have made, because MicroStrategy, that company that did that, has even outperformed Bitcoin since 2020, because they use leverage strategies. They leverage their Bitcoin and debt and all sorts of fancy stuff. So that worked out amazing for all the shareholders that stayed, and it worked out terrible for all the shareholders that left. And again, it's like, don't doubt Bitcoin. You should make sense to back Bitcoin. I should probably say, nothing here is financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. If I was a financial advisor, I couldn't speak like this. When I started doing the consulting, I was like, I think I'll become a financial advisor. And then I was like, hold on a minute. I'll be locked in regulation. I won't even be able to tell people how to get rich. I won't be able to tell them what I've done. I'll have to just tell them how to stay poor and sell them all the shitty products. Which probably would have made me a few quid, but I'm not interested in doing that. I'm like, fuck that. So I didn't think anything you hear here is financial advice. Just some lad, just having the crack with us. What's this one now? Billy Murphy, what's stopping the powers that be of buying a few 100 billion of Bitcoin, sending it to the wrong wallet, and essentially destroying that portion of Bitcoin? Well, that'd be fantastic, because that would just make Bitcoin even scarcer, and it would make all our Bitcoin worth much more. It would also devalue the fiat currencies and cause them to collapse. So more people would want to buy Bitcoin as fast as possible, because no governments have any money, they're all broke. So they'd have to print the money. So therefore, it would cause even more inflation. And because the price of Bitcoin would go up so much because they lost the Bitcoin, that would suck even more people in. It'd be like a super cycle. So that would be fantastic if some government decided to do that. But again, the thing about Bitcoin is, instead of trying to attack Bitcoin, because when you attack Bitcoin, it only hurts you. Okay, it hurts whoever tries to attack it. That's the way Bitcoin is. It makes more sense, because we all operate out of self-interest. It makes more sense to try and actually embrace it. So rather than doing that, it would make more sense to just buy a couple of billion in Bitcoin and keep the Bitcoin, and then tell the world, by the way, X country, Western country, is after buying a couple of billion in Bitcoin. What happens? FOMO. All the other countries are like, shit, what happens if someone else does it? We get left on the sidelines. We better do it. It's all game theory. This is how Bitcoin's like a black hole. Okay? Into Bitcoin investments. Do you recommend cold storage wallets? And are there any downsides? To Ian. Ian, welcome, man. Yeah, there are downsides. And that's that there's always risk. With everything, there's risk. No matter what you do, there's risk. Okay? If you buy Bitcoin, you leave with a broker, there's a risk that the broker get hacked, or the broker go out of business, or whatever. If you buy it with an exchange, you have all those risks as well. I'll just finish on that one so there's no confusion. With the broker we use, there's a different legal framework, so that they don't own. When you buy Bitcoin on any of the apps, in the terms and conditions, you're signing it over to them. So basically they own Bitcoin, and they just have a debt obligation to you. So they can trade your Bitcoin, they can loan your Bitcoin. They don't even have to buy the Bitcoin. Case in point, when FTX went bankrupt, their customers had 80,000 Bitcoins. So I had my app and it said, Dinny has 1 Bitcoin, and I'm on FTX. But then when they went bankrupt, they had 0. They didn't even buy the Bitcoin because they were gambling. They were like, the price will come back and then we'll buy them. And then they got caught with their pants down, and the customers had no assets. So it's like, you can't get blood out of a stone. You signed the terms and conditions. Sorry about that. Okay. With the broker though, it's different. Broker can't touch it. They can't hypothecate. They can't trade. When you custody your coins with the broker we use, it sits in a segregated account. Should they go bankrupt, should they go out of business, the customer assets are there. If the customer assets aren't there, they get audited every week. Someone goes to jail straight away before a company gets into trouble. So it's a much better custody solution, in my opinion. So there's risk, but there is always risk. You put it on a wallet, now the risk's with you. So you have no counterparty risk, but you're responsible for it all. So if you screw it up, okay, if you're not competent, if you leave your wallet in the glove box of your car and then your car gets broken into, I've had someone do that, 2 Bitcoins, okay? That's your fault. You were an idiot, especially if it was 6 months after you seen Dinny, and Dinny spent half an hour explaining to you how to separate the 2 things and sort them properly, all right? There's no excuse for that. That's just stupidity. But some people are dumb, so sometimes the risk is bigger of, if you are an idiot. The problem with most idiots is they don't know they're idiots. Okay, but like, you know, if you don't think you're competent, well, there's probably less risk with a third party. But I think learning to be self-sovereign, learning to take responsibility, and learning to use a wallet, it's part of your journey. We should all move there, and it's not super difficult. You just need to have a bit of competence. Now, Dinny is someone that knows what he is talking about, pal. Thanks, Conrad. Can't see all the Barry Casey. Keep getting the content out. I'm up 200% since I started following you. Boom, imagine that. Like, people's pensions won't do that in their lifetime. That's the craziness of this asset. Okay, any more comments here on YouTube? Sorry, I'll scroll down and see. Scotty's party. What are your thoughts on Swan IRA accounts to hold Bitcoin in? I've heard the term, but I'm not familiar with them. Is that some sort of an American product? It must be. Because of Bitcoin. Was it Mr. TradFi stuff and or shitcoins? BK, did you get to early retirement because of Bitcoin, or was it TradFi stuff? No, I haven't sold any Bitcoin. I never bought Bitcoin early enough. Well, when I say I haven't sold, I sold some Bitcoin, like a tiny amount when I didn't know any better. Traded for altcoins, lost all the money, you know, hence I'm able to have a bit more experience and teach you guys not to do stupid things like I did. So, no, like how I retired early was I lived below my means. I invested the difference heavily into myself, and I built businesses, and I built, what do you call it, recurring revenue, or what do you call it? Money that you don't have to work for, just comes to you. You know, about 20 revenue streams. And some of them are quite passive, and then some of them require a bit of work, and I have a couple of companies, and this being one of them, like I get people come and consult and pay me money, and I help them make a hell of a lot more money, so they think it's a good investment to work with me. And we have Retire Early Club courses as well, so I have 2 products of Bitcoin with Dinny. And that was how I done it, the good old fashioned hard way. I wish I was starting where you guys are. If I was 10 years younger, I'd have just fucking gone apeshit into Bitcoin. It would have been a lot easier, in my opinion, than building all the companies, but maybe not as fun. Hopefully that guy who's been searching for his hard drive in the landfill doesn't find it. He's got millions worth. Yeah, Scotty, if he doesn't find it, it just makes your Bitcoin worth more because it's even scarcer. And that's the beauty of Bitcoin. It's just that people are going to lose it. It's only going to get scarcer over time, and that's just going to make the Bitcoin that you own more valuable. It's hard to get through the comments here because it doesn't really scroll very well. It's only on Instagram, by the way. Can I see that? Passive income. Thanks, James. How can I get some of your consulting time? Check out bitcoinwithdinny.com and you'll see our website, and you just sign up to one of the products, and then you get a link to my calendar, and you pick a time that suits you, and we'll be chatting. I'll be on this screen, unless you live near. If you're in Ireland, you come to my office in Swords and we meet there. That's how you get involved with that. Thanks for the question. Any other questions? We haven't had any questions on altcoins. I think people probably are a bit afraid to ask Dinny about altcoins now because they know I'll just scold them. But it's not. I just think I've seen too many people lose their ass and wish they bought Bitcoin, that I'm like, until you understand Bitcoin, you understand it, the generational opportunity you have, and then you acquire a decent, you get a decent percentage of your net worth into it. It doesn't make any sense to take high risk. And I know people are just trying to fast track. I'll just get some alts to trade them for more Bitcoin, but like, statistically, 99 people out of 100, it doesn't work out for. So you should create your secure strategy first. That will probably retire you in 10 or 15 years anyway. It's just like, I like to manage risk. People think, a lot of people see me, I do into motocross, surfing, free dive, and a lot of extreme stuff. Used to road race, that was really dangerous. Loads of my buddies are dead now from doing that stuff. You fucking 150 mile an hour between stone walls. I only done it for 5 years because I sort of understood risk management there. So like every weekend, not that it was funny, but like There's an ambulance leaving with a dead body in it. You can't really do this for too long, Dinny. I know it's the ultimate buzz, but it's risk management. So I really manage risk tightly, but I'm not afraid of risk. That's the difference. People are afraid of risk, so they don't get any experience with risk, so that whenever they take a risk, they fuck it up. Whereas the more you get in the game and start learning and understand that risk is your friend, risk is how you get wealthy, risk is how you grow, risk is what moves you forward in life, is being able to use risk and not be afraid of risk. And that's why I always say to people, start investing. I have no money. That's when you should start. You shouldn't wait till you have loads of money and then try and invest, because you've no experience, you don't know what you're at, and then you have a big chunk of cash and you're just going to give it to someone who's a better investor than you. Because whenever you're on a trade, on anything, someone's on the other side of that. And if they've done more work than you, the chances are that money's moving to them instead of you. So it's that's why you should start small, because as you start to build your portfolio, you learn your mistakes when you're investing with tiny money or hire an expert. You're looking at one. Okay, if you don't want to do it, if you don't know what to do and you don't have time to read all the books and figure it out, well, do what I did. And people said, how'd you retire early? Because I hired experts. Rather than trying to figure stuff out, I paid people to teach me. Because I was like, Tony Robbins told me this. He was like, there's two ways to learn, Dinny. You can spend 10 years figuring something out and then you'll be an expert. It'll cost you loads of money and loads of time. Or you can pay someone, they'll teach it in a day or two, and you get to make loads of money and save loads of time. And I was like, Tony, that makes sense. I'm going to do that all my life. And that's literally how I retired, because I invested shitloads of money into shitloads of education, which allowed me to make shitloads of money a lot faster than I'd have ever figured out how to do it. So again, that's a different side to investing. It's people just think you invest in assets and they go up, but investing in education is your biggest return. Because if you invest into yourself, Bitcoin might do 100x in a few years, but like I can 100x my wealth this month if I wanted to. I have the power to do that depending on how hard I want to work or don't want to work. And that's the beauty of investing into yourself. It's unlimited returns, and they compound, because the smarter you get, all the new information you put in here is layered on more stuff. Okay, and you're the asset. That's why I invest into my health. I had to break my back to realize that was pretty important. And I invested in my education for my wealth, because I wanted to have my time to do what I want and do all my fun hobbies. Bit of a rant, lad. Sorry about that. Would you sell your house for Bitcoin? That's a good question, Adam. That depends. And there's no way I could give you the answer to that on this. But it really depends. So I'll just give you my framework on when I'm making a bet. Because any investment I make, I think of it like a bet. So the way I do it is, sometimes I'll just write down a piece of paper, draw a line down the middle, I'll go positives, negatives. And the way I make the bet is, the absolute worst thing that can go wrong can't affect me. Okay, I have to be able to wear it. It can be a kick in the balls, it can set me back for a year or two, but it can't set me back 5 years or 10 years. It can't destroy, 40% of my net worth or something like that, a big hit. And I don't mean like the price of Bitcoin went down, because that's not destroyed. You still own the asset. That's volatility. I mean capital loss, okay? So I have to be able to take the worst case scenario and it not affect me. To me, it sounds like by selling your house for Bitcoin, if that goes fully wrong, what if you don't custody it correctly? What if you lose your private key? What if you fall and bang your head and you forget it? How does that work out for your family? To me, that sounds like that's too much risk. Because I wouldn't be able to accept the worst case scenario there. If I sold my house for Bitcoin and it didn't work out, would I sell my sports car for Bitcoin? Fuck yeah, do without that thing. Buy 10 of them in 5 years. Because that makes no difference. It's just a toy. It's just something you can do without. But the sports car gives me joy. I was going to sell my car for Bitcoin there 2 years ago when we went through the bear market. I was like, I'm selling it. I had it sold. I had the deal done. I rang the mate of mine who buys cars. And he had the fucking bank draft to give me the cash. I was like, I can get 4 Bitcoins for that car. I can get 4 Bitcoins. I'm selling that car. And then my wife was just like, what are you doing? Like, you love that car. You like that car. You don't need the extra money. And she's right. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, right. Like, what's the point? Life's for living today. I mightn't be alive in 2 years' time or 3 years' time or 4 years' time. Nobody knows. I don't know. Life's crazy. Human bodies fall apart all the time. So I didn't. But if I didn't have any Bitcoin, then I might. So yeah, that's just how I make decisions. It's like, am I does the worst case scenario wreck me? And if it does, then I don't do it. I want to take bets where the worst case scenario is a kick in the balls. I can take a kick in the balls over losing half my net worth. So I wouldn't sell my house for Bitcoin. Some people do though. A lot of people have, and probably work out for them. But this is the thing: fortune favors the brave. Take a big risk, get a big result. Invest a tiny amount, get a tiny return. Invest a massive amount, get a massive return. But you're taking massive risk. So once you understand the risk. Now, Steve was all in. I sold an Audi at 22k. I didn't have any Bitcoin at the time. Happy days, man. Boom. Hope it works out. Huddle. So you sold the motocross for Bitcoin? No, I didn't sell the motocross for Bitcoin. But I tell you what I did do. I didn't buy, and I normally buy a new bike every year. I haven't bought a new bike in 2 years. And that was just simply because I thought there was a massive recession coming, and I just wanted to have more. I didn't want to be spending more money if my companies were going to have less of a turnover. I always want to be super conservative, super safe. So I just didn't buy a new bike for 2 years. Hell no, I didn't sell them. I think I own about 5 motorbikes, lads. And my goal, it's like Bitcoin. My goal is to have another one because 6 is better than 5. Any advice on high risk altcoins to turn a few quid to buy more Bitcoin? Jesus, Barry, have you not been listening? So for me, if someone's building a portfolio and they want to put risk on it, it's simple. Put Ethereum in it. Ethereum will outperform Bitcoin, likely, until it doesn't. Ethereum is more risky, so you get paid for the risk. If you look at Ethereum over the last, 3, 4, 5, 6 years, it has outperformed Bitcoin. Will that continue? I don't know. Is Ethereum the same as Bitcoin? No. Is Ethereum decentralized? No. Is Ethereum money? Not really. Is Ethereum freedom technology? Definitely not. But will Ethereum make me more money in the short term? Possibly. So you could go, okay, I'm going to go 50-50 because I want more risk than just Bitcoin. In 10 years' time, maybe you'll just own half as much Bitcoin as you should have, or maybe it worked out. Like Solana is the latest. It is all the noise is about that now, and like I've positions and all that stuff. And I said to the guy in the Retire Early Club, when you're part of that, like you'll be told what I'm doing. And I told the guys when Solana was $18, I'm like, I'm buying a shitload of this, and now it's whatever it is, 70. So that was a good decision. And a few of the guys done that trade with me, and we're looking pretty sweet today. Does it have more room to run? Yeah, probably. But I'm like, box off your Bitcoin strategy. Isn't ETH going down? Yeah, well, and when I say about ETH, again, this is, as I said to the guys, it was only recently I said to my guys, guys, Ethereum is doing so shit. See, this is the difference. People buy what's going up, and that's like dumb. That's what dumb money does. But instinctively, it's like, I buy the green things. I do the opposite. I'm like, Ethereum has been trending down priced in Bitcoin for ages, almost to the point where it's like irrational. Even if I'm not into Ethereum, I have an obligation to make money for my family. It's my job. I'm a hedge fund manager for my family. So are you. And I'm like, well, it doesn't make sense to me. The market's wrong. I think the market's wrong. So now I'm going to buy some Ethereum because it's doing shit. No one's talking about it. It's cheap. Everyone's buying Bitcoin. Bitcoin's ripping. But remember, guys, I have my Bitcoin strategy. I've been accumulating like a feckin' mofo for the last 4 years. Okay, all the way through the bear market and whatever before that. So this is just like play money, risk money. Okay, I've got it boxed off. Some of you guys don't have it boxed off, and you're just going to go to the casino, gamble, and lose. So this is why I try and say, just because I'm telling you what I'm doing, doesn't mean it's right for you. I wouldn't do it if I wasn't in this position, because everything is different. That's why in consulting we work out people's personal strategy that's going to work for them. What would you do if you had to start off again? I'd do exactly what I've done, Sam. I'd pay as many people in the space who are experts to teach me, because I understood that from all my other business. So when I started to learn about Bitcoin, I spent over 10 grand, not on Bitcoin, on my education. And it was the best money I ever spent because I probably saved myself 4 years of dumb investing mistakes. So I trained with Simon Dixon, Andreas Antonopoulos, Ivan on tech. I done his course. That was more the tech side of things, which was, it was okay to learn, but it didn't really give me any investment knowledge. All the other courses that I've done over the years, just investing courses, T. Harv Eker stuff, what's his name, Tony Robbins, all his stuff. I was in masterminds in Ireland, chatting to a guy there today, and he was saying to me, "Were you in such and such as mastermind there years ago?" And I couldn't remember the coach's name, but then it jogged me. I was like, "Yeah, I was actually, yeah." But again, this is the difference between the poor Dinny wouldn't have invested into that stuff. He'd have just got his money at the end of the week when he got paid, put it in the bank and been frugal. But the Dinny that actually got wealthy was like, as soon as I get my money, I'm investing it. Well, at the moment, I don't know shit. So I've got to spend all my money on trying to make myself, worth more educated. Teach myself about how to run a business, teach myself how to sell, how to market, teach myself how investing principles work, teach myself about assets and liabilities and cash flows and accounting and all this sort of stuff. I just do the exact same again. I'd learn, and it's easier now. There's much more information. It's all online now. You don't have to read fucking books. You can just watch courses. And a lot of this stuff is democratized, that you can literally go on and listen to, a hedge fund manager talk and tell you literally how the world looks, how he's investing his money. And, fair enough, that'll be difficult because you won't understand a lot of the jargon. But just read books, get educated, and don't worry, you don't have to learn everything in one go. I remember when I used to first start, I'd be listening to podcasts and I'd be literally pausing it every 10 seconds to Google what a word meant. And then I'd hear the word and I'd hear the explanation. I wouldn't even understand it. But then just from being exposed to something, you get the lingo, you get the jargon. I'm into surfing. If you ever hear a group of surfers talking, it's like a different language. You wouldn't understand a word they're saying. But you don't go to school to learn it. You just surf and you basically pick up all the lingo. Okay? Same with motocross. There's all these terms, and I'm sure you've got hobbies, and I'd be the same. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? But you don't go to school to learn it. You just get involved in it, and it soaks in. And finance is the exact same. Just by getting involved, not being afraid to be the dumbest person in the room, because that's where you learn the most. I always want to be the dumbest person in the room, or if I'm doing any sports, I want to be the slowest or the shittest, because then I'm getting the most out of it. I have to drag myself to the level of the other people. When I'm the fastest person in the swim lane, I just have to swim a little bit faster than the swimmer behind me who's not as good as me. So I literally have to just go a little, I don't have to push myself at all. That's no good. I want to be at the back, horsing through the water, trying to keep up with someone who swam in the Irish Olympic team. That's when I get the most training, and the same in everything. So yeah, I have to keep the answers shorter, lads. Would you recommendations for any business mentor? No, because I haven't had a business mentor in so long. I don't know who's out there, but I've had loads of them over the years. I tell you who's a good person to follow. If you want to understand how to sell and market, one of my best coaches was a guy called Alex Hormozy. Now, some of you might have heard of him because he's viral now. Well, Alex was my coach about 10 years ago. And that cost me 16 grand to work with Alex. And this was when he was a nobody. You wouldn't even get to talk to Alex for 30 seconds for 16 grand now. But he wasn't a global viral sensation. But his stuff's amazing. He really taught me how to sell and market and give people value. And that's the reason why I'm on here doing all these free videos. Because if you think about it, what's Dinny doing? I'm just giving you guys shitloads of value, trying to give it to you all for free. And not all of you will buy a product from me, but some of you will. Some of you will be like, I have 5 grand to invest, or I have 100 grand to invest. I trust that guy. He seems to know what he's talking about. He's giving me a lot of value. So I don't even have to sell you anything. I've sold you by already giving you value. And this is literally, you apply that to any business, because most businesses are on the take. They're just like, it's a race to the bottom. Oh, we're cheaper. You give the value first before you ask for anything. That's what Alex taught me, and it's worked out very well in all the businesses. And that's why I just applied the same thing to this Bitcoin business of, you just get on, you teach people, you give them value, you give it for free, and some of them will probably want to buy a product from you at some stage, and some of them won't, and that's fine, that's cool, but maybe they'll refer someone or whatever. It's just good karma. And some of you guys will probably may never buy a product from me, and you'll invest and you'll do amazing. But wind on 5 years when you've 600 grand sitting in an account and you're not quite sure how to move it. You're not sure if your single wallet secure. Who are you ringing? You're ringing the mad Egypt that you've known for 6 years, who's been teaching you about security for 6 years. That's where you're coming. So some of you will be my customer in the future. You just don't know it yet. If I still do this, I might get bored of it, or I might just go dark and disappear. In fact, I know I will. I might just flog the company in a while, but who knows? I don't know what I'm doing. I'm enjoying it now. It's a bit of fun. But yeah, that's what I say. Follow Alex, get his 2 books, $100 million dollar leads and $100 million offers, just to how to put offers together and stuff. But Alex is a genius. You'll hear him on podcasts. You'll probably hear a lot of me and how he speaks, because literally he taught me a lot of stuff. So Alex Hormozy, yeah. Let me know if you've ever heard of him. We know you're not a financial advisor. I always say to people, like, do I look like a financial advisor? I try not to. What books do you recommend for investing in Bitcoin? Investing in Bitcoin, you see, I think understanding Bitcoin is the first thing, because then you'll understand why you should hold it long term. So I really like Everything Divided by 21 Million. It's quite a short book. I like Why Bitcoin is a very simple book to explain Bitcoin. So if you're not technical, I used to tell people the Bitcoin Standard, but it's too complicated a book. If someone's only half interested, they'll read the first page of Bitcoin Standard and they'll throw it away and they'll go, Bitcoin's not for me. Okay, if you're a really technical person and you really want to have a deep understanding of money, the Bitcoin Standard is an amazing book, but it's hard work. Like, I'd like, read a simpler book first, just to get yourself interested and realize the opportunity you have, and then struggle through that. There's a course actually coming up. I'm not sure when it is. I've done this twice. It's called the Millionaire Mindset Intensive. T. Harv Eker. They used to do it in Dublin, but I actually only seen it advertised on my feed. That's a great course to go to. Teach about money, teach about mindset, teach about it's everything in between. Your ears is the reason you're poor. For all of us, for me it was. I had to unlearn all the habits. Everything that was programmed into me was just being a poor person. And that was a good course, and it was free. And at the course, there was massive upsells for courses. Like, it's free to come, but then it's 16 grand to do this course. And I have no problem paying that money. But I just love going to events like that, especially when people are selling, because they're really good at selling. And I literally took notes, and then I made presentations exactly like that course. I replicated it for years ago in a different business that I used to do. It was called the Breakthrough Event. I literally got people holding planks of timber and smashing them with their hand. It was like a mindset thing to help people basically break through and stop being a dickhead. Do you think you can't break a bit of wood with your hand? Yeah, you can. And it's 65-year-old grandmothers smashing it. And it was a great fun event. But, so yeah, go to that if you don't understand. If you want. And you're not going to, when it comes to learning, you're not going to do one thing and then you know everything. Because like, I learn every day. I probably educate myself for at least an hour, where I'm listening to some sort of an educational podcast or something, so it's just you layer it on. That's what, like, compounding is the 8th wonder of the world. It's how you get rich in investing. But you can compound your knowledge. That every piece of knowledge you put into yourself is going on to everything else that's already in there. So your knowledge, your skills, they grow exponentially, not linearly. Okay, that's why years ago I worked way harder than I do now, and I earned way less money. And that's not fair, but that's just the way it is. Now I find it really easy to earn money. If I want to earn more money, if I want a new car, I'm like, I can make that happen. I just have to do this work and this work. Whereas back then, I would have broke my ass, busted my ass for sweet feck all. And that's just the way the game works. But unless you start today, you'll never get to the future version of yourself that finds all the stuff easy. And it's the same with investing. The people who start today, not going to be retired through this bull market, but they're going to be retired a hell of a lot quicker than the people who look at this and go, coulda, woulda, shoulda. 2023, before the bull market, for the spot ETF, could have bought Bitcoin, but I didn't. Okay, I think the questions are drawing up. Will you be running any courses yourself? No is probably the easy answer there, Philip. I'd love to. There's so much stuff I want to do, but I need to get my ass and get myself a good secretary, someone who can help me put stuff together, because I get too comfortable and enjoy my time off. But I know I have a lot of skills that I want to share, and even in the health space, I've spent literally my adult life working in the health space, and I've loads of knowledge in that. That's a shame to keep to yourself, because everything people know about health, bullshit. That's why 40-year-olds have no energy and they're overweight and they're on medication. Shouldn't be like that. It's just that they were given all the wrong information. And that's what I say to people, Bitcoin for wealth, understand fasting for health. It's as simple as that. Obviously, there's much more nuance to it, but, in a basic. Tesla stock or Bitcoin? Bitcoin, man. Obviously. Is Tesla stock money? No. Can you take Tesla stock to the grave with you? No. Can you time lock it into the future? No. Can you take it anywhere on the planet? No. Can you buy stuff with it? No. Does it go up in price? Yes. Does Bitcoin go up in price? Yes. Which goes up the most? Well, I think Bitcoin will. But in terms of a fiat derivative, shitty ass stock, it's probably one of the best, or if not the best, is it? But once you swallow the orange pill and understand Bitcoin, it's just like, it's hard to buy anything else. When is the next fast? January will be the next fast. I have a fasting company, believe it or not, guys. Believe it or not, people pay me to starve them. 500 people in 2023 paid me handsomely to starve them, and they're all a hell of a lot healthier. They have more energy, and some have changed their life because of it. Amazing, isn't it? Who would have thought people would pay you to starve you? There you go. Limiting beliefs. I never would have thought that years ago. But hey, it works. It works fantastic. So my next fast will be in January. If you're interested, follow Fasting with Dinny. There's an Instagram page. We talk about it. And like everything, I make fasting easy. So you don't eat nothing. I actually give you a specific diet where you can eat 3 meals a day, but your body will go into the fasting state, and some people lose 20 pounds in 5 days. And they're like, how did you? And how do I not put the weight back on? Why didn't anyone tell me about this before? Well, because we have this thing called big food and big pharma, okay? And corporate capture that I always talk about, political capture. And we give you all the wrong information, but we make loads of money. And that's how the world works. But Dinny gives you the right information. And that's why Dinny retired early, because he helps people. I missed that one. Won't miss this one. All right, Barry, you're in. We're going to be fasting in January. I don't even have the dates up yet. I must organise that. Now, good to have everyone on here. Colin, are you holding any other coins other than Bitcoin? Yes. Oh, yes. I've got all my shit coins. I've got Ethereum, Chainlink, Solana, Polkadot, Zilliqa, Theta. There's more there, I can't remember them. Can't even remember. That's not the question though. You should be asking me what percentage of your portfolio is in each of them, because that's the information you need, not what are you holding. Because it could be 99% in Bitcoin and 0.1% in shitcoins, which wouldn't be a million miles from the truth. Anyway, I'm going to log off here. It's been good to have a good chat with you tonight. Thanks everyone for the questions, the input. Hopefully you got a bit of value, a bit of crack on a Friday evening. And hopefully I'm not sounding too ranty. Just trying to share a bit of knowledge, share a bit of love, and try and make sure that you make money in this bull market, because most people don't, especially if it's your first one. But we've had a lot of success with the people who've adopted the Bitcoin with Dinny strategy. All of the clients are definitely made money. I know that for a fact, because I have text messages, and if you go and look at our Google reviews on our website, you'll see some people have 6-figure portfolios, some people have 7, some people are retired. Not loads. Some people only started 2 years ago, so they're not going to be retired now, but they certainly have hope, and they've, like one of the lads, I think it was Barry, said he's 200% up. It's pretty decent, lads. So yeah, have a super evening. Good to see you. I'm going motocrossing in the morning, so I'm excited about that, because I haven't ridden the bike since I was out in Spain. And that was about 2 months ago, so I'll be a bit rusty. Stretch out the hands. Gonna be a good day tomorrow. Hope you have a good day tomorrow. And remember, as one of my friends says, who's a wealthy man, a smart man, savvy businessman, he's driving around the country selling scrap, as he calls it. He's just anything that's lying around his house, He's selling. Why? Because he's like, I can turn them into sats, which are smallest unit of Bitcoin. Why would I keep them? I'm scratching my head going, you know what? I have a bicycle hanging up the shed there. I'll never use it because I have 3 other bicycles. It was a pretty expensive bike. It's probably worth a couple £100. Why am I just leaving it there to rot? Why am I being stupid? Luckily, I talked to his friend who's smarter than me. Maybe I'll sell it. So the chances are we all have scrap lying around that we can get rid of to own more sats. Or just work harder. We can do that as well. Guys, it's super even. It's been awesome to chat to you. Thanks for being here. And give the video a like and a share and encourage your friends, family. Get on board, study Bitcoin, learn about Bitcoin. Retire early. Job's a good one. Dinny out. Out. Out on that one.